Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast. We did it. It is draft week. We are here. We are ready to go. I'm relieved.
Never a doubt. Never a doubt. Never a doubt. We knew we'd make it, but it is starting to feel real.
The light at the end of the tunnel.
Very, very real. Adam Hoge, Carman and Nicholas Moreano with you here on this glorious Monday in Chicago. Thank you to everybody who's been supporting the show throughout draft season. We reached our goal of 54,000 subscribers ahead of the NFL draft, just 3 days away. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, because we have plenty of great content coming your way, including my final mock draft of the season.
Shout out to the Urlacher. Shout out to the Horace Grant. Shout out to everyone who made it possible for us to get to 54. Thank you very much.
And the next goal, we're trying to reach 40,000 Twitter followers. We've been talking about. We're very, very close. Do you know that we're actually tied with the CHGO Cubs crew? We are both at 39.6 thousand right now. And I think we need
one can win.
I think we need a bet. I think we need to make a bet with the Cubs crew.
No more sit-ups.
Who can get to 40,000? Seems a little unfair considering this is NFL draft week, but, sorry.
Well, they're in the middle of their season, though. I think this is a very fair bet. And, I mean, I know that I can look right at Cody Del Mendo and say, we're coming at you. I feel comfortable staring down at Luke Stuckmeyer, who will be on Tavern Style with me today. I look at Ryan Herrera, my third baseman, my shortstop, top of the order, bottom of the order, and I just say to him, you're going down. It's very comfortable.
Well, we'll leave your I think we make a bet, but
what's the bet?
I don't know.
What's the
in
thing?
the
I
comments.
I feel like it should be like a you versus Luke. You guys are similarly aged, if not the same age, actually.
Carm's older.
Similarly aged.
Is that not correct?
It's one of the worst sayings I've ever heard.
That was a nice way of saying you're old.
Yeah, you're old, Carm.
Similarly aged, me and Luke. I am younger than Luke. I am more
you?
adorable than Luke. Yes, I am. Yeah, golly. Maybe I'm not. I don't even know. I'm younger than.
I have no idea.
I am younger than Luke Stuckmeyer. I'm not younger than Brian Baldinger. Let's go.
Yeah. We'll come up with some type of bet. You can leave your in the comments if you want. Also, I see people in the comments already mentioning the pivot interview with Caleb Williams. We are going to talk about that today, so stay tuned. But
I've watched it 16 times.
I don't believe you. It's Monday. It's draft week. Who better to bring into the show than Brian Baldinger, our friend who's word on the street is you've just been watching Caleb all morning. You're getting as excited as we are, Baldy.
Well, I just want to, I hear all these detractors, saying Caleb can't do this and he can't do that and he's not going to be successful in the NFL. And I don't agree with any of it, but sometimes you just want to go back and see what some of the detractors are saying and what they're looking at. And so I'm just kind of reviewing, we got to talk about him on Total Access on the NFL Network today. So I just thought I'd put Caleb fresh in my mind after what I think I've seen throughout his career.
So speaking of Caleb Williams film, I'll tell you this, Baldy. So every morning for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've been doing a bit where I do a good morning tweet, and it's just a highlight of Caleb from his All 22 film. And when I first started doing this, I was like, man, I'm going to have to spend a day and just stockpile 20 or something clips just to get it out of the way. I don't want to be certain. And that's not really how it went down. So what started happening was I wake up and I'm like, all right, I got to find a clip, and it takes me about 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I leave off where I was the day before, and maybe 2 plays go by, and there's another wild throw, just that quick. I'm not even making this up. That's how easy it's been finding ridiculous plays from Caleb Williams to share on Twitter every morning.
No, look, I understand. I was just watching his final game against UCLA, and the Trojans were terrible. They were terrible on defense. They might have 2 other players on offense, Rice and Lloyd, that might get drafted. But, I'm just watching, what he had to do against UCLA, whether he's backed up on the goal line, trying to make a read for a first down or 3rd and 10. And You just watch these games and see what he had to do in order to just be in the game. They're down 14-0 in the first quarter against UCLA, and by the end of the first half, he's got them right back in the game, and it's a ball game. And UCLA just had so much more talent. But every game, to your point, you can find these plays, and then you can find the plays that everybody says, oh, he can't make these off schedule run around plays that he did in college. Well, sometimes he had to do that. He had to do that a lot with the way, they were breaking down up front and the lack of talent on the outside to throw to. So I'm with you. It doesn't take long to find highlight throws from Caleb Williams.
My biggest concern about Caleb Williams entering the NFL is, if there is one,
I don't have any concerns. I think he's starting to say this stuff now, but I like I said, I feel like I've known this kid since high school, and I didn't have any concerns in high school that he would be a starting quarterback when he went to, and we knew he was the number one pick in the country, and he was going to Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley. And I didn't think Spencer Rattler had any chance of beating him out. And he didn't start right away. And then once he did, one guy transfers, the other guy is his quarterback. So I never had any concerns in college. I don't have any concerns about him right now.
People are putting in the chat Baldy fumbles. No?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, the ball security is always an issue. And so, but a lot of those are just, he's trying to do too much, and I guess that would be the concern, trying to do too much. I don't think he's going to be in that predicament like he was this past year at USC.
Baldy, I think at this point in the draft process, I feel like people just overthink things. So instead, what just makes Caleb Williams special?
I think he's a real student of the game. I think he really knows what he's looking at, and I don't think you can fool him. I think he understands, if you go and take an IQ test, one of the areas that they test is spatial relations, and so they show you a picture and then they take the picture away and then you tell everybody what you just saw. I think he can take a snapshot, pre-snap, post-snap, and I think he knows what he's looking at, knows where to go with the ball. The good thing is I think he's got all the talent to get the ball to where it has to go based on what the defense is doing.
So, Baldy, I saw a clip of yours last week, you talking about Leatu Latu on the other side of that UCLA film you were just talking about. One of the main reasons why Caleb was running for his life a lot in that game is because Leatu Latu would be in the backfield in about half a second. And then Caleb, because he's so special, would somehow escape. But what is it? I think you called him your favorite or the best defensive player in the draft. So what do you love about watching Latu?
He looks like an NFL player right now, playing in college. Just his length, his ability to use, he's a combination right now of a TJ Watt and a Max Crosby. In that, I'm not comparing him to either, both those players are established, but he has everything it takes that both those guys have. I think he's a better prospect than TJ coming out. When TJ was coming out of Wisconsin, I think he's a better prospect right now. But he knows how to use his length. He knows how to defeat blocks before they happen, sometimes because he sees the block and he has the skill set to defeat the block. And then he has a skill set to be able to win one-on-one pass rushing, whether he's over the guard, whether he's over the tackle. And then he can play outside linebacker if he has to drop into coverage. He's very, very fluid and smooth doing that, the way TJ does, or jumping up in front of a pass and batting it down or intercepting it. He has all that ability. I just think he is very slippery. He just can't get your hands on him. I remember, this is a different era, but going up against Steve McMichael and Dan Hampton back in the day, McMichael was a son of a bitch. You couldn't ever really grab him. He was always moving. He was always on your edge. You could never just get your hands and your meat hooks inside the guy. It was just, and then, he never stopped talking. So it was hard. But I feel like Latu is that guy. You just can't get your hands on him. He just doesn't allow you. He's always moving and he's always defeating your hands. And his eyes are always up, knowing where he's going. So I've said a lot. But he's just an advanced student of the game right now.
I got to stick with 85 since you just brought it up. Who was tougher to handle, McMichael or Hamp?
I felt like I could block Hampton better than McMichael. Like I just have nightmares about McMichael. Like I wasn't supposed to start one day and something happened to a guard. I'm thrown in there and there's McMichael, and Mongo is just, like he probably didn't sack the quarterback, but he certainly chased him. I certainly at the end of the day thought like this is the worst I've ever felt during a game in my life. And I was only in the league 3 years at that time, but like I felt like he was harder to block. Just running past, just because you could never just stay in front of that guy.
Baldy, going back really quickly to Latu, I see in our chat they're like people are talking about scheme. Would Latu and the way he plays, he's also lined up inside at times at UCLA. Is that a player that can transcend scheme, whether it's 4-3-3-4, whatever it may be?
I think so. Yeah, I mean you see him because of his length. He's 6'5". He's got long arms. I see him line up in a 3 technique and just, stack the guards in front of him, get off the block, go make the play. They moved him around quite a bit. They stood him up over the guard. They twist stunted him. I feel like he's a real chess piece in how you want to use him. And so maybe he plays on the same side. If he was to come to Chicago, maybe he plays on the same side as Montez, and they run some games because of both those guys and their size and their length and some of the things they could do. I think they could play opposite him. I think they could put him inside against maybe some less athletic guards where it would be a pretty good mismatch inside on pass rush situations. So I do think he can line up in a variety of places.
So we know Caleb's coming to the Bears. They got this pick at 9. If you could, and we've seen like this effort that the Bears have had this year, and I mean, I think we've all been applauding it, of making sure they don't screw this one up, that they give Caleb everything he needs to be successful. So if you could come up with Baldy's best case scenario for the Bears in the first round on Thursday, what would it be?
Well, I mean, look, the only knock on Latu is the medical. Okay, we understand. Like, you shut him down for 2 years. I get it. But he just played 2 years without any incident. And I think the game was taken away from him at an early age when he was beginning to have success at Washington. And it was taken away. I feel like sometimes there's different ways to humble a player. Sometimes you got to transfer. Sometimes you're beaten out. Sometimes you're injured. You got to come back from injury, especially if they tell you, you can't play anymore. So I feel like that's all behind him. And if medically he's cleared, I feel like that would be an unbelievable piece to the Chicago Bears. I know Dallas Turner is mocked to him and Jared Verse. I understand. And both those players are really good prospects. I just don't think they're as advanced yet as Latu is. Now, maybe they become better players. Well, we're going to find all that out. But I think right now, Latu is a guy that I think can help really change the game right now. That would be I think if he clears medically in Chicago, I know he's got to be in the conversation with Eberflus. And could he be that 9th pick? And look, if they don't feel comfortable like that, I mean, if Roma Dunze is there, I mean, I just get as many good players on offense as you could possibly get and find a way to use them all.
So Dunze's there and or Neighbors is there, Baldy. Are you trading back and drafting Latu at, say, call it 12 to one of our mock drafts that we'll get to in a bit, or are you taking the receiver?
Well, I wouldn't want to trade back. Could Minnesota take Latu at 11? I mean, maybe they trade up to get a quarterback, depending on, where they are. Like, they just lost their top 3 pass rushers in Minnesota. They lost Daniil Hunter. They lost DJ Wanham. They lost Marcus Davenport. That might look pretty enticing to them at 11. So if you wanted Latu, I would just have to make sure my intelligence was really good and what Minnesota was doing, because I wouldn't want to miss out on them by trading back if that's what they were trying to do. But it was certainly all those scenarios. I hope that they have all been discussed, in their war room leading up here to this Thursday night.
Yeah, Baldy, I'm glad you brought that up because that's the other side. We've had that discussion about how the Vikings, could be looking at the Bears pick if one of those quarterbacks are still there. And it's like, well, do you really want to make the interdivision trade there? But the flip side is, like, if you trade with the Broncos instead of the Vikings, Well, now the Vikings might take your guy.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the other side of it is like it's not just giving the Vikings a quarterback if you do make a deal with your rival. Maybe that's what you want to do. Maybe they're drafting a quarterback you don't actually like that much.
Like I remember 3 years ago, the Eagles traded with the Cowboys, and the Eagles got Devontae Smith, and the Cowboys got Micah Parsons. So you go, man, was that a good deal? I mean, Devontae's been a great player, but could Micah Parsons be in Philadelphia? Could he be on that defensive front with what they have lined up there? I mean, so like you always kind of think about that when you're trading within your division like that, and are you helping the other team more than you're helping yourself? I guess that's a consideration because it can backfire on you for sure.
All right, Baldy, hang on one second. I want to talk some O-line with you too, but let's thank a couple sponsors here. Bacon Wrapped Chicken. We all love bacon wrapped chicken. Who doesn't? I'm sure Baldy loves bacon wrapped chicken too.
I like anything with bacon. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. So Baldy's all in here too. On family farms, their culinary journey is woven with passion, dedication, and a commitment to crafting the finest bacon wrapped chicken, a timeless delicacy that has tantalized taste buds since 1974. At Family Farms, they're more than just a traditional name. We've evolved into purveyors of gourmet delights with our signature bacon-wrapped chicken leading the way. Join us in this flavorful adventure where every bite tells a story of tradition, quality, and the enduring spirit of Family Farms. And the tradition continues because now you can find Family Farms bacon-wrapped chicken even easier. Look for us in the meat department at your local Woodman's and Moreano's. Craving a taste of home without leaving yours? We're thrilled to announce our arrival on the Amazon Marketplace as well. Experience the flavor that's become a family favorite for generations. Visit your nearest Woodman's or Moreano's or visit our new Amazon Marketplace store today.
All right. Listen up here, Bears fans. This is important. I've got some news. We're going to raise your glasses here. Did you know that the Bears are ready to select the first overall NFL draft pick since 1947? And did you know that they currently have the number 9 overall too?
Yes.
Thank you, Hoge. This is a historic moment, and Miller Lite is going to help us usher and celebrate in a new era of Bears football in a way that matches this draft's epicness. So mark your calendars. Thursday, April 25th. And yes, there's a chance to win, listen up, a pair of season tickets. Whoa. If you post yourself cheering the number 1 pick on Instagram with the hashtag lights up for the pick, hashtag sweepstakes, and then you got to tag Miller Lite. So listen, spread the word, Chicago. This is a celebration for the ages, and Miller Lite wants you to be a part of it. Go to the Bears website, find an HQ bar near you, come out on draft night, Thursday, April 25th, to be a part of history. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories. 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Somebody from CHGO needs to win this. So get her done here. You got to cheer on that number 1 pick. Hashtag lights up for the pick. Hashtag sweepstakes. Tag Miller Lite.
I love it. And also, we've been asking you what you think the Bears should do at number 9. It's on our it's not really a Twitter poll today. It's more of a Twitter question at CHGO_Bears. Tell us who you want to see the Bears pick at number 9. We're going to compile all the responses there and bring them to the show tomorrow to see what type of consensus. And the reason we didn't do a poll is because we know of a lot of people, a lot of different ideas that go beyond the 4 choices you can do in a poll. So just let us know what you think at CHGO_Bears. I know one guy I would be totally okay with Baldy, the Bears, taking if he was for some reason still there, and that's Joe Alt, the Notre Dame left tackle. As much as, I think Braxton Jones has been a hit, the idea of giving Caleb Williams, 2 cornerstones on each side of your line is very, very enticing. I know we talked to you about Joe Alt a couple weeks ago. I kind of want to ask you in a different way this time. Like, let's say Joe Alt's not there, because I think that's actually very realistic. How do you handle that with what you've seen with Braxton Jones if, an Olu Fashanu or some of these other guys, Fuaga, are there for you? How would you handle that on the offensive line if you're Ryan Poles?
Well, I mean, every time you get a chance to upgrade a position, you have to consider it. Now, you have to consider, the price that you're paying. Is the 9th pick is Olu Fashanu, that much of an upgrade over Braxton Jones. I think he is. I think he is an upgrade. I think he's a guy that locks down and it really drops his anchor as well as anybody in this draft at that left tackle position. And so he's done it, at a big level in college. And so I think that's an upgrade. Now, Braxton has improved. He's played a lot. He's certainly a good player. I don't know if he's a Pro Bowl player. I think Olu Fashanu is a potential Pro Bowl player. And so you have to look at that. He's a natural left tackle. So I would say that is you have to make that consideration.
Baldy, when you look,
Braxton Jones becomes your swing tackle, then that's his new role if he gets beat out if Olu was there at number 9.
Baldy, when you look at some of these top offensive tackles in this draft class, who would you label as the nasty one of the group? Because we know Ryan Poles puts an emphasis on the nasty in his offensive linemen. Does one guy kind of get that label over the others?
Yeah. I mean, I think that Fuaga for sure at Oregon State gets that. And then just watching Troy Fautanu at Washington, I mean, both those guys, they enjoy putting their opponents in the dirt, making them eat a little grass seed along the way, just punching them with anvils for hands. Like, they look like they enjoy shocking people.
Quick follow-up on that, Baldy, because you mentioned Fautanu. He's the shortest of all the offensive tackles in this draft. How much do you care about height at that position?
I care. I think that he's played over 2,000 snaps. He's played a lot of football there. It doesn't look like he has any problem playing out there. I mean, I hear that a lot. Like, I think he is probably going to be a guard. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl guard because of his power and his footwork. But I don't have any concerns whatsoever about him going out and playing tackle at the NFL level. The way that he just keeps his feet underneath him and sits in a chair and stays between his man and his quarterback. I mean, it's hard to find very many bad snaps of him out there, but there is certain measurables that you like at your tackle position, and he certainly falls underneath that, being under 6'4", not the longest arms the way a guy like J.C. Latham has, and Marius Mims, some of these guys that have a 36-inch reach. I mean, that's rare. If you had that, you wouldn't be concerned at all.
So, Baldy, we're going to bring this tape back in about 5 years, and I want to go back to the quarterbacks. I think we are all in agreement that Caleb should be number 1, but who's your 2? And I'm wondering if you have a clear number 2 here, and who of, call it the top 6, are you most looking at? Like, yeah, I might bet against that dude.
Well, I think the guy that that I would put in that first group is Michael Penix Jr. Like, I don't see a weakness to his game. I know he had the injuries at Indiana. He elevated Indiana's program. They were a doormat. They beat Michigan. They almost beat Ohio State when he was there. They rose as high as number 7. Indiana football's never been like that. He did the same thing at Washington. He's elevated 2 programs with him in there. I have very few concerns about Michael Penix Jr. I think he's being a great player. And I think he's going to go somewhere between 8 and 13. Like, I don't think he's going to drop below that. He certainly won't. Like, Seattle's picking 16. His offensive coordinator at Washington is now the offensive coordinator in Seattle, and he doesn't think that he'll be there when they pick 16. Like, I think he's going to go between 8 and 13. So I don't have any concerns about Michael, and I think the teams, are quietly hoping other teams do so that they can select them. The guy I guess I would be this is not a personal thing or anything, but the guy that I just have concerns about is Drake. Like, I just watch Drake and I just go, why isn't he more accurate? Why when he misses, does he miss so wild? And you could tell me that, okay, receivers left and Devontae Walker was his only guy. All that stuff might be true. I just see a guy that misses a lot. And maybe you could be Josh Allen and miss a lot in college and then fix that and become, an elite player in the pros. And maybe that's who he's going to become. But that's the one guy I have some questions about.
It's going to be interesting Thursday night because, Baldy, I always say it, one of the quarterbacks falls. I mean, but even last year, I felt like if I had to pick one of them that was going to fall, I don't know if I would have said he would have fallen all the way second round, but I would have said it's Will Levis. I just felt like that was the guy who was probably going to fall. This year, I can't figure it out. Like, it's just, it seems like, I hear what you're saying about Drake May. I still feel like there's going to be one of those teams that just loves him.
They're going to fall in love. They're going to fall in love with his frame and his size and his arm and his ability to pull the ball down and run and 2 years of staying healthy. They're going to fall in love with all that stuff. And sometimes you just fall in love with the wrong stuff.
So who do you think falls if one of them does?
I guess Bo Penix probably falls. Like, I guess the guy that's in question is J.J. McCarthy, because he's really the most difficult guy to really evaluate, just for all the reasons that you've all heard and everybody's talked about. There's no need to kind of go ad nauseum here on it, but like, it's just a difficult guy to evaluate. I can see him making plays beyond the X's and O's to Roman Wilson and certain throws against Ohio State. I can see it, but it's not like they had to ride the arm of J.J. McCarthy to beating Ohio State or, like any big game that they had to play, which isn't a lot when you're at Michigan. They're going to have 16 or 17 players drafted. They might set a record this weekend. Like, there's just not that much that he had to do. Like Michael Penix had to win games all the time for Washington to win those games. Like, JJ didn't have to do that. If you put JJ in Washington's system, would they be 14-0 and play Michigan for the national championship? Like, I would have questions about that.
Baldy, there's been some buzz, a little bit of buzz around here about the Bears possibly wanting to move up in this draft to maybe select a guy in the name of Marvin Harrison Jr. What would you make of that if the Bears were that aggressive to give draft capital from next year to go move up to arguably get, the best player in this draft?
Well, I'd be surprised, just because I think that when you look at Marvin, Malik, and Rome, I mean, depending on what analyst you talk to, you can't find a lot of separation between them. And so if Marvin did go 4 to Arizona and he was off the board, because that's really probably where you got to get to, just to make sure you get him, is to get to 4. And so that's a lot to give up to get to Marvin, where maybe Rome at 9, if he's there, and the Jets are just, chomping at the bit to take him at 10, maybe he's as good a player, if not better. And right now, you can't really make a whole lot of separation where one guy, Jamar Chase, is just, or Justin Jefferson is just so much better than the next guy. And I don't think that's the case with these 3 receivers.
Well, I can't wait, Baldy. No sport has a draft like our sport. It is that moment when you get that noise that comes across ESPN and a trade has been made, and you're like, whoa, this team's coming up. Like, I'll never forget the Chiefs coming up number 10 for Mahomes. You're like, whoa, what are they doing? And there's going to be a moment like that early on. We know it in the top 10. It's going to throw something off, and that's the best thing about the draft.
Well, I think real quick, I think, like, the Rams have done this now. Like, some teams are just all in right now, and, like, they don't care about next year or next year's picks or anything. Like, let's make this the best team possible. And so I do think there's 1 or 2 of those teams that are like, we'll worry about next year. Like, let's go get it done this year. And I feel like you're right. I feel like there's going to be a team from left field that's just going to, give up a lot of assets to go get the guy that they covet the most.
Hey, Baldy, sorry, but I got to get this in here. We're going to talk about the Pivot podcast coming up with Caleb. And his parents got him his own apartment in high school, Baldy, across from the football field. I'm wondering, how would a young Baldy would have done in high school with your own apartment? You think you would have stayed focused on football?
I don't know. I slept in a bunk bed my whole life with my brother. That'd be a pretty big jump, going from the top bunk to my own apartment. I would only hope that I would be, but somehow I would think that the temptations of the world would have gotten the best of me at some point.
I mean, it's an incredible level of maturity. The dude's handling his own apartment in high school with that amount of talent and people liking him. At any rate, Baldy, you're the best. Thank you.
Okay, yep. Talk to you soon.
Hey, Baldy.
Enjoy.
All right, enjoy the draft, Baldy.
Give my best to Caleb, all right?
Yeah. We'll let him know. We'll be talking to him soon, hopefully. All right. Yeah, we're going to talk more about the
Pivot pod.
Pivot. There's a lot in there. There's a lot in there
I got
to discuss.
3 pages of notes.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, before we get to that, Let's talk about Prize Picks because we love Prize Picks. If you have not gotten on board with Prize Picks yet,
what are you doing?
You need it. You've been waiting too long. It's just a super fun way to play daily fantasy sports. It's the largest DFS platform in North America, the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. So instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on a 2 to 6 player stat projection, and you watch the winnings roll in. You can combine sports, which is great, and you can get into the playoff action right now. Win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks. I actually watched a lot of more playoff action than I thought this weekend, and it's a good way to stay engaged and have some fun during all these playoff games that are going on. As you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. You can win 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Turn $10 into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, and college. Well, you could have done that with college basketball. We should probably update that. America's #1 fantasy sports app is, of course, Prize Picks. So check it out. Go to prizepicks.com/CHGO. Use code CHGO for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/CHGO. Use code CHGO. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Check out Prize Picks, and you have to check out CDJR. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? If you are, then we have some great news for you. Our partner, Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Fox Lake, is celebrating the Jeep Celebration event all month long. And you know what that means. You'll be able to rave about their savings on a wide selection of inventory for a limited time. Lease a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo Altitude for $439 a month for 39 months. If that Grand Cherokee isn't big enough for you, check out the third row and lease a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited L for $479 a month for 39 months at Ray CDJR. You'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and drive home with more money in your pocket than you expect thanks to Ray's Price Promise. And don't miss out. Shop great deals all month long and save big because Ray CDJR makes buying a new vehicle more affordable than ever. But that's not all. Just for listening, you can get a free oil change when you mention CHGO at the service center or mention CHGO when you book online at RayCDJR/service. But you have to schedule before April 30th. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you have to check out the team at Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram because they're the only team that we recommend here at CHGO. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com. Serving the community since 1963.
Nick got his free oil change.
Yeah. Thank you, Ray CDJR.
Looked
it up.
The third row in the Jeep Cherokee, I'm telling you.
It's a big move.
It's a
Die
game
for.
changer.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. The ride over here in the tracks this morning was so unbelievable. And I was tooling people around in the tracks this weekend. 3 in the back in the tracks. Ugh. Just a great feeling. Don't go there.
It's just the way you said that. There's
It's
something.
3 in the back in the tracks.
Yeah.
3 in the back
Can
in the
be
tracks.
done.
3 in the back in the tracks.
Why do you make everything weird?
Because I'm great at life. I dominate this thing.
You dominate this thing called life.
I dominate life.
Look at you.
You know who else does that?
I mean, everything that I'm doing today. Look at what I do. Who's that?
Caleb Williams.
Oh, my God.
He might be doing it a little bit better than you. Did you have an apartment in high school?
Dude, Caleb Williams is insane.
Is that
The
dude?
Williams family is insane. Everything about this dude coming here is insane.
This is
No, I couldn't, if we're talking real life, I couldn't be more opposite this guy. Who's
even close to him though?
like literally, do you know anyone that's ever been like this dude? Seriously. He decided when he lost in a football game when he was 9 years old, and he cried that he wanted to become the greatest football player of all time. And then from 10 to 13, all he ate was eggs and
Ham.
Ensure and ham for breakfast for 3 years.
That's what Steven does.
He not at 8.
Just a couple greats, that's all.
This
Man.
guy is a different cat, man. This is a extremely different cat. To be a leader, you got to first be a good follower. Come on, Caleb.
That was a good quote.
I mean, all the quotes here. His
there's a lot.
phone. Hoge, I think you have one thing on his phone that
I'm in his phone.
Well, he's got one of
the screensaver.
One of his screensaver. One of them is it says "fuck everybody, go kill." Isn't that your mantra?
Yes.
Every day.
That's how I wake up every day. That's exactly.
That's
how
what greatness takes,
how
right
I
there.
live.
He's got "put your DNA on a team, lead to a championship." Kobe quote on there.
We got to look at it right here if you're
I mean,
watching
There
on
we go.
YouTube.
Yeah.
And it says it. Fuck everybody, go kill. Did he? I don't know if he wants that out there, but it's out there now, so we might as well talk about it.
That's just the mindset, you know? Like,
I mean,
doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. He's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to kill that shit.
that's how Greg Braggs lives his life too.
Is that the closest resemblance to
Fuck
Caleb
everybody,
Williams?
go kill. Today he's killing the golf course
I mean,
and everybody around him on the golf course.
Braggs is Caleb. Caleb is Braggs. No truer words have ever been spoken.
Wait, was it you who said Bo Penix or was that Braggs?
No, that was
You
me,
were-
but I think Baldy just
Yeah,
did
Baldy did
Yeah,
it too.
okay.
That's why
That's why I started
was like,
chuckling a little bit.
I couldn't remember who said it on our team one time.
it. It was definitely me.
In a
Bo
pre-show
Penix.
meeting. Bo Penix.
Yeah.
Great player.
Yeah. Hey,
It happens.
these things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I was surprised if we're just for 1 second on Baldy that when I asked who his number 2 was and he went right to Penix. That was,
Yeah.
you know.
Schefter had a nugget this morning that I think he suggested Penix could go as high as, did he say 8 to the Falcons?
Ooh, wow. Dude, the draft is wild. Like, if something like that happened, like, yes, it's crazy, but it's the draft. It's the draft. Something like that's going to happen. We're all going to be, you guys will be, at the draft party. I'll be in Detroit, and we're like, what? Something's going to happen. I can't wait. Cannot
Still
wait.
the lingering thing about the Falcons and their pick.
Yeah, that too. That needs to be
Schefter
settled.
reported something could happen with that this week. And then he gave a couple examples of teams losing first-round picks, and I was like, well, wait a minute. Because that's a I don't know. All right, so what else from the PIP? So if you missed it, I'm
Sure,
not
everybody watches
everybody
by now.
is maybe up to speed on this, but there's a podcast called The Pivot, which is Ryan Clark from ESPN, of course, former NFL player, Fred Taylor, awesome former NFL running back, who's really good on that podcast.
Really good.
too.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
was really impressed with him. And then Channing Crowder helped me with the teams that he played for in
boy.
the NBA.
Let's give. Well, I gotta look it up. He was
Okay.
he was a
But he was around. He was around for a while,
yeah.
and he's kind of funny on this show because I'm watching this with my wife, and she goes, "He's the Braggs of the podcast."
Wait, Shannon Crowder. So, Miami Dolphins.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You said were you saying Channing Frye?
Yeah, Shannon Crowder. So, he
I don't know
played
why I said that.
He played 2005 to 2010 with the Miami Dolphins. Yeah.
Yeah, he was Dolphins.
Linebacker. Florida.
Regardless, the point is this: Caleb gets out there, is as comfortable as you can be in like bearing all on a pod with former NFL guys. And can I see your phone? He gives up the phone, showing his screensaver with all that stuff on it. I just thought he was just willing to be vulnerable. And then they talk to him about the crying, and he starts joking about how his friends loved the Jordan crying meme next to him. So like you're getting a sort of a glimpse of his personality behind the scenes, like that. There's part of him that's super serious. I'm going to eat the same breakfast for 48 years to try to become the greatest NFL player of all time. But also like I can joke around about myself. That's something that I think you can just understand, hey, well, then he's going to be able to get along with his teammates. He's not going to put himself above it. And then he's talking about money, and he's like, it all comes down to winning, man. I'm just about winning. Because if you do that, if you win, you're going to have everything else.
You talk about that in the context of the individual awards, too.
Right, you're going to get the individual awards. If we win, I mean, it means I'm playing well. So, yeah, I'm going to lead the league in yardage or whatever.
Yeah, that stood out. I also liked when Caleb was asked about his parents and how much of an impact they've had on him. And Caleb went into, like, learning things from his dad during, like, business meetings. Like, he would be on his BlackBerry, like, playing around, but seeing how his dad would command a room, like that stuck with him, something that he can take, moving forward, as he's obviously going to be the franchise quarterback for the Chicago Bears, but also his mother too, like working in daycare and learning how to treat people. Like that was a big thing for him. And, when he stayed after and was shaking hands at the NFL draft combine, that just came natural to him because of what his mom showed when she was working in daycare, just being respectful to others. So that stood out to me as he was kind of answering all these questions on the Pivot podcast.
Yeah, I wrote that one down too. Good.
I think too, like, I like that they did the interview in his penthouse condo overlooking USC's campus.
NIL money, just living the dream.
But the reason why I'm saying that is because I think it speaks to what Ryan Poles has said, what we talked about on the show last week. Forgetting which one of our guests brought it up last week. We've had so many guests lately. But the point being is that one of the biggest unknowns in this pre-draft process with all these prospects is how are they going to handle the money they get? How are they going to handle that big signing bonus they get? How are they going to handle being a professional for the first time? You could do all the homework in the world, but you don't know what you don't know. And some of these guys change drastically. Sometimes they love football and all of a sudden they don't because they go through, a new thing in their life. They mature, whatever, different priorities start to emerge, all that stuff. With Caleb Williams, he's already got the money.
Yeah.
He's already got an incredible amount of fame. He's already got the GQ articles, and they're like literally filming this thing and almost laughing at him that he's got all this. The view in his apartment and all. He's got an apartment in a high school, and I think to some extent that's rubs some people the wrong way with the privilege and he gets called arrogant. I just think it's him handling the type of business that literally no one else has had to handle. He is the first not the first prospect to have some NIL money or have some attention, but no one's come into the league with this much money already, with this much exposure already, and an idea of, and I think it's an advantageous standpoint for the Bears of knowing how he's going to react to all of it. Because it's already out there. They've already seen it. It's not a guessing game. And they did their homework, and they talked to them. And they could have gone into those dinners or whatever and been like, man, this stuff's gone straight to his head. This dude is arrogant as all hell, and we don't want anything to do with it. And it's not that, because he's not the type of guy that's going all over L.A. and you see him and the paparazzi's all over him and all this stuff is going on. He's actually the opposite of that. And, yes, I think he straddles a line of the confidence you want with arrogance. Like, that's a hard thing to find, and that's where, at least that's where I want my quarterback to be at, kind of straddling that line, because if you're not, then you probably don't have enough confidence to handle it at the next level.
No doubt. I mean, look, this is the guy not going out like you were saying. He's having Lego parties, essentially, building Legos and, like, investing in, like, those things that people can relate to. Like, that's just as much money as he has. Like, that's just kind of who he is, though. Like, something as simple as Legos he takes time to do with his friends at his, luxurious condo. But it's like,
that was one of my favorite parts of the interview. Channing Crowder was like, "You having Lego parties? I got to take you to the club."
He does. But sounds like Caleb will go to the club and hang, and then when the clock strikes midnight, he's going to go home because bad things happen after that time. And I've got my eye on the prize, and I'm not going to let something get in the way of that. Look,
Carm just falls asleep at 10:30, so he doesn't have to worry about
I'm not there at midnight. I'm out. I'm already out the door. But so, look, age, people say, is a number, and yes, he's this young guy, but it's not just the product of your years, it's the product of your experience. And I just think it needs to be underlined here. This doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback or anything, but he has lived a different life. Most people, I don't know anyone who had their own apartment in high school over a football field. I don't know. Do you know anyone in your life who was, I'm just going to reiterate, who was on a specific diet between the ages of 10 and 13 to try to make yourself an NFL football player? Most parents are off doing their own thing. They're not completely invested in their kid to this level. This is where he's coming from. Setting an insane goal and then trying to meet it. The goals that I was setting at 11 years old was to try to get to be a better basketball player somehow and make the team. And then I would be out there for 5 minutes dribbling him oh yeah, Jordan's on, let me go run inside and do that. This kid was up at 5:30 doing the morning workouts that Michael Jordan, Ron Harper, and Scottie Pippen were doing towards the end of his prime. It is an insane path that he's been on to get to this point. Who sets the goal they want to be the number one pick in the NFL draft, and he has on his phone he wants to win 8 Super Bowls? That's insane. Everything about him is, it's just a different cat, man. Justin Fields, not to compare the two at all, this is unfair to Justin, but he's I had no idea that I was even going to make it in the NFL. That would be a normal person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This dude is not.
Yeah, but I want crazy. I want that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But
I sent you a video yesterday of Michael Jordan. His NASCAR team won a race yesterday.
That's the greatest. Thank you so much. You made my afternoon. You have no idea what you did for me with that tweet. Pass along.
I think a lot of people don't even know Michael Jordan owns a racing team right now. But he's literally still that competitive, that he has channeled his competitiveness into, I'm going to start a racing team in NASCAR because he liked the sport, and they've gone from literally not existing to very competitive in 2 years, which is really hard to do in NASCAR, where everything's driven by the amount of money you've had and obviously Jordan's doing okay from a money standpoint. But I'm talking about building up a racing team. And he's they won a race yesterday, and he's the first time he had been there in person for one of them. And he was comparing it to an NBA playoff game. He's yeah, this is about when we would win game 1 in the NBA playoffs.
I put a lot of focus in my racing team and to build up a group that could augment the drivers. Listening to him talk racing, I could not. Nobody quite gets the lunacy, I think, of Jordan to at least the way that I enjoy him.
I'm surprised you haven't become a NASCAR fan just because Jordan's in NASCAR now.
What did he say? I tweeted it. It was just so ridiculous that he's in awe of the pit people or whatever the hell he said. That was just so unbelievable. I live vicariously through the crew chiefs. I live vicariously through the crew chiefs.
Well, his point was he has no control over it.
Yeah.
He's he drives him crazy because unlike a basketball game, he has no control. Which is bringing us back to Caleb Williams and why he switched to quarterback, because he needed control.
Right. My dad used to work on cars. Now I own cars.
Can you stop doing that? It's not even remotely close to. I don't even know.
Jordan?
Blake says it's the worst impression ever. I think it's worse than that.
Okay, I disagree. Thank you, Blake. I've been doing MJ imitation forever. I'm allowed to do it here. You guys just haven't heard it. All right.
That makes it worse.
That'd be better.
If he heard that, he would take it.
You've been working on that forever, and it sounds like that.
I'm out of practice. I'll give you that. Getting back on point to Caleb Jordan.
I tried 30 seconds ago, and you just blew right past it with another bad Jordan impression. I somehow brought that NASCAR craziness back to Caleb Williams, and you went right by it.
I'm sorry, I missed it. That's my fault. Look,
he said the foghorn leghorn.
Okay. I'm trying to underline how abnormal this dude is. That's just my whole point here. This is not a normal human being in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, I want to be his best friend, and I think we should be friends. I think that I'm not going to get in the way, Caleb, of your focus. And I love a good phone with some screensavers. My phone's got screensavers too. I don't see why we can't why can't be buddies. I mean, look.
What's on your screen?
Yeah,
there?
what's on everyone's screensavers now?
So I've got. Hold on, because now I got to learn how to do technology.
Mine is the most Adam Hoge thing ever.
Which one?
Is something.
Mine is just the weather. It automatically updates and changes with the
That's
weather.
so lame.
Wow.
I've got this guy.
I'm a nerd.
You know, you've seen this guy. It's an iceberg into the mountain at the top. This is the way you go. Hard work, persistence, late nights, rejection, sacrifices, discipline, criticism, doubts, failures, risks. So, like, you're at the bottom, you got to start taking risks. Then you got to fail. Then the doubts are going to come in. Then the criticism is going to come in. Then you got to have the discipline that Caleb talks about. I loved his line about discipline. Then the sacrifices. That's right. You can't be doing the things that the friends are doing. You got to stay focused. You're making sacrifices. Then you're going to get rejected. And then you're going to have the late nights to work through that. Then you have to have the persistence. And then you get the hard work. And then you get to the success. That's how it works.
Wow, that's deep, Mark.
Nick, what do you got?
It's just a picture of Steffi and I. that's. I mean, yeah. So it's not as. It's sentimental.
It's probably
So.
the correct background.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I should just put Poppy the puppy on there and call it a day. But I'm striving. Damn it.
Well,
What do you got? The weather?
Yes.
Yeah, it automatically updates with the weather.
That's
So right
convenient
now it's
though.
partly cloudy, and then when it's raining, it'll rain.
See, you don't have to go like through a step to your
No,
weather
it just
app.
tells
It's just
you.
there.
It's 66.
So that's
Actually,
good.
didn't know it was that warm right now. It's
No, that's nice.
66, and it's partly cloudy. It's
I
beautiful.
like to have the weather on my phone
Stop it right now.
so I know the temperature outside.
Stop it. You stop it.
You are MJ phone. The weather?
What does that have to do with MJ phone?
It's just because it's ridiculous. It's almost as ridiculous as Jordan turning into this NASCAR guy. I don't know. Don't sell your NBA team and be a basketball guy. Not go spin around in the cars. Kevin's out there. Naked man is alive. Love to see him.
Waved.
Yeah.
I've got the weather.
That's another way to tell the weather is if
Yeah.
naked guy shirt's off.
That's right.
Then you
That's
know
why
it's
you don't
nice
need it
out.
on your phone.
Yeah. Okay.
True.
That's a good point. Just look out the window and see if naked guy shirt's off. All right. Let's get to shout outs and super chats if
What-
we may.
We
Shout out
may.
Super Chats.
Last one, though, is him detailed the story when Fields got traded, that his phone just started going nuts.
Yeah.
And he's like, what the hell's going on here? And he's looking around. He's trying to figure it out. And then finally he's got it. Oh, Justin got traded. I haven't given them my medicals.
He even seems somewhat surprised
A little, yeah.
Yeah.
by that. I noticed on Twitter over the weekend after this interview came out that there's this almost like panic that like Ryan Poles wasn't doing his job correctly if he decided he was making this move
Without the medicals.
without the medicals. And it just goes back to what I reported at the Combine, which some just didn't want to accept. Plan B was not Justin Fields. If something came up on the medicals, they'd be drafting a different quarterback
You nailed that one.
tomorrow on Thursday night. But also there wasn't really any reason to worry about the medicals. This wasn't a Latu situation.
No, yeah.
This was a guy who's constantly played and had a hamstring 2 years ago that was limiting him as he won the Heisman. I would watch those games, and he's clearly not 100%. He's playing through the injury, and he's winning the Heisman.
It's pretty good.
So what is there? Like I don't
good.
even like this panic over the medicals. It's like what was Ryan Poles supposed to be worried about?
I never got it either. Like,
There's no injury history with him. Like, other than that.
I mean, there's the crazy outliers where like you discover a guy has a heart condition.
Something crazy. Like, exactly.
Sure, but like even then, the player himself doesn't know that. Like,
Right. Mm-hmm. But I guess that's what you have to be prepared for. But again, that just goes back to, all right, well, if that crazy scenario plays out, what are we doing?
Not keeping Justin.
We're not keeping Justin Fields. We're still drafting a different quarterback because it's a new regime. We're starting over at the position.
Well,
And that was the reality of, and just some people don't want to accept that, but like it's not malpractice how they handled it.
That was their decision.
They had
That's
already
their
made the
decision.
decision. They're moving on from the quarterback regardless.
well, Well, part of the reason, too, that I asked Baldy the question, who's his number 2, a lot of people, not a lot, but there's a decent amount of people that have Daniels ahead of Caleb. I saw, which I don't agree. I'm not saying I agree.
So,
but there's
that quote was, there was an NFL head coach, not in the market for a quarterback, that told Adam Schefter that they have Jaden Daniels ahead of Caleb Williams. And I think he said it was like it's a no-brainer or something like that.
Very
and
confident.
as I read that, it was just a reminder to me that half the people who have these high jobs in the NFL who we think they know what they're doing don't. And a reminder of why these coaches get hired and fired so quickly.
Egos, man.
Come on. Look, if you want to make that argument, I think that argument could be made. I think when the argument's over, I'm not going to be swayed. I'm still going to disagree with it.
You'll listen.
But you could probably sit down, and actually I would say like Dan Orlovsky did that. Like, isn't that what Orlovsky's take was?
Orlovsky has Daniels as the best quarterback in the draft.
And he makes that argument, and I don't agree with it, but I could see why he's making the argument, and he's bringing it forward. To just like blatantly suggest anonymously that it's a no-brainer that Jaden Daniels is better. It's like I don't even think that. Does that person really believe that?
I don't trust that person's evaluation then. I don't know. That's just me.
It's probably like Jim Harbaugh.
I mean, I tend to believe that people are either A, trying to be entertaining, or B, are trying to prove how smart that you are. I don't think that there's people out there that are going to say like that Jaden Daniels is better than Caleb to just try to get clicks. Like I think that Dan Orlovsky believes that Jaden Daniels is better than Caleb. I think that like I go on the Our Lads podcast or whatever, and then those guys they put out their drafting this week, and I'm looking at it. They have Daniels slightly ahead of Caleb.
See, slightly though. I mean, even if it's slightly, but to like the clear-cut guy is Daniels. Like that's where I don't know. Where else are you going to find that opinion?
Who wouldn't want a skinnier, older version of Justin Fields?
He's had it.
Right? I don't know.
I mean, Jaden's had a lot of success, the true dual threat, all that. And people are thinking that he's not as flimsy as once was the concern. Whatever. The guy's played a ton of football.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's had really good weapons around him, too.
I think Gary put in the chat earlier that he's not. Somebody put in the chat, whoever it was, about not being over the middle. I don't think this. I'm not sure the stats bear that out. A lot of people like Jaden Daniels. Look, bottom line, they get this wrong every single year.
Yes.
So all 6 of them are not going to be great.
No,
something's going to go sideways.
That's what people thought about the Justin Fields draft class. Like they thought there was a bunch of guys in that class that were going to be phenomenal. Trevor Lawrence is the only one with their first team.
And hasn't
Mac Jones, no. I mean, bunch of guys. Zach Wilson, Fields. It happens all the time.
I mean, that was one of the most disappointing classes to this point. I mean, I thought that Trevor was going to be nails, and
he's
a good player. He's a very good player.
I think the book is closed on.
It's not. It's
Trevor
not closed
Lawrence.
on Justin
He's
either
still
yet,
pretty
for
good.
that matter. But to this point is all I'm saying. At any rate.
Yeah. All right, let's get to super chats, and we start with APB_ESQ. $4.99.
EQ? Equanimus? No?
First time super chatter, which is
All right.
why I screwed up the first one. So this is actually a total of about $15. So we greatly appreciate the super chat. Welcome in. It says, Nick, I know these dolts don't appreciate the origin stories, but I see you, dog. Bear down, gentlemen.
Thank you,
You guys
APB.
you're not dolts, but these are the origin stories.
Oh.
Spider-Man. Origin stories.
I have no idea what was going on, but that's great. I love those shoes.
Thank you.
I actually do like them.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were Spider-Man.
They got little like webs. They're supposed to be webs, but
I'm surprised I can see that on. Must have some
Appreciate
really
you.
good cameras. Nuke. $4.99. Happy Caleb Williams week. I've never been more hyped as a Bears fan. Bright times are on the way. 3 more days. Bear down.
Nuku, you deserve this. Just know that. You've been through a lot, and I'm glad that this is coming for you.
By the way, that story I told with Baldy earlier about the clips that I've been clipping is true. I've basically had like 3 or 4 games open on my computer at any given time, and then I just like pick one and I leave off where I left off. So the other day I did one of the touchdowns he threw against Utah. And so yesterday I did Cal just because that was the video I clicked on. So today I went back to the Utah one, and it's same thing. Like, I just done the touchdown. Literally the next play was the one I tweeted out this morning where he hangs in the pocket and just throws this like missile right over the middle, anticipation throw, everything. And like, oh, that's the next, like, that's how easy it is to find these clips.
Most highlightable player ever.
It's not made up. It's like,
yeah.
I thought it was going to be, Mr. like Caleb Williams lover, thought it was going to be harder than this. And I'm like, every morning I'm like, oh, I got to quickly get downstairs and clip. And it's just like, oh, that took 30 seconds. Okay, that was.
I can go back upstairs.
And
now.
you were able to quickly check the phone, your weather on the phone, and then get right back to it.
And then I wake up, I could just,
Boom, boom. Clip out. 64 degrees. Hoge.
Yeah.
Guy's on fire. Listen, man,
I hate you.
This better be as exciting as you say it's going to be, because you sold Caleb first, to me at least, and if he's not everything that we're saying he is, then I'm going to blame you.
Oh, well, that guy on Twitter last week says he can't wait for Caleb to fail so I get fired.
Okay.
That is so stupid.
Let's all, can we just all take a deep breath and relax and have some fun, enjoy life.
Fun?
Apparently not.
There's no fun in sports. Carm. Armando Reta, 199. When will we get a Hard Knocks announcement? Good question.
You got to call Gary Ross. He knows.
I feel like last year it got announced like right before it started.
Yeah, it was like almost like a week before.
It was like, oh, we're doing the Jets, and we've already filmed Aaron Rodgers for like a month.
I was actually asking the same question earlier today. So,
does that worry you at all? How much Caleb Williams loves Aaron Rodgers?
I don't love it.
He loves. I mean, he loves the player. He's a
Is that
good
a
player.
red flag for you?
Good player, though.
I just hope it stops at football.
Yes.
I mean, he talked about, in essence, on the Pivot podcast, that he does a lot of mimicking of Aaron, similar to Kobe and Mike. Mm-hmm. And he's thrown Mahomes in there, and he's done some mimicking of Tom Brady. I mean, you can't get mad at that.
No.
Those
are the GOATs.
Yeah.
I do see Aaron Rodgers in his game. I've been saying that. So I love that he is trying to do that.
And Aaron Rodgers' talent in Chicago. Come on.
I mean, if he's able to get to a point where he goes up to Green Bay in 10 years and screams, "I still own you" to the Packer fans, that'd be quite fine. Let's do that. I'm down.
I'll take that. Yeah. Wow. Colby Richardson, $5. I need a Braggs impression from Carm. I've kind of gotten away from those. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, so everybody seemed to love my MJ impression today. So it's so I don't know if I can dive in on Braggs. Anybody else want to do it? But he's golfing, and and Greg produced 2 shows yesterday at once. He is.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he just continues to raise the bar as the best Braggs of all time.
Promote the draft party, guys.
Right. He screamed at me this morning. Yeah. He didn't like how I promoted the draft party. Not enough enthusiasm. Poor enthusiasm. So I apologize to Gregory. You don't even promote it. I mean. And then I'm taking vacation June 3rd to the 9th, and I'll be gone. And Jenny's coming.
And no tweet from CHGO.
Nobody's going to do anything when I'm gone. The whole company's going to suck, but I'm going.
There's your brick.
How come you get to take vacation? And I don't get any vacation.
Too many periods, not enough exclamation points from
Right.
the man himself.
Not enough exclamation. I should just be as hyperbolic as possible to sell the draft party. I got it. Cheers to you, Gregory.
Yeah. He did start that Caleb Williams chant, though, where the 3 people in the left field bleachers were.
Hey, listen. I'm in the bleachers on Fridays now. Come on out. 120 Club. Me and Mendo. I love the Cubs. And the Bears and the Bulls.
All right, save your voice for the draft.
In my underwear.
Who asked for All right. Sant Fam, $4.99. Atlanta may lose their pick if the NFL finds they tampered in the draft. How will this affect the Bears at 9?
Get the 8th pick?
Well, survey says they'll have the number 8 pick.
Let's go.
I don't know. We talked about this last week. Like, I just think it's like this weird cloud that's not just on my phone, but hanging over the draft. What's going to happen? It might not have to do with the 8 pick. Maybe it's their second round pick. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Couple of things here. First of all, Atlanta, the rule's stupid. They're tampering all the time. Who the hell cares? Let it go. Take that out.
He's golfing again. He says, good impression, my golf crew is laughing. I'm just going to say this. If this dude does not prove that he can shoot in the 90s with us this year, with as much as he's golfing.
Oh, man.
How many holes of golf have you played this year?
0.
Okay, I've played 9. This guy's at like 200 already. Him and Scotty Scheffler played the most golf in the world.
I mean,
he better be at least in the 90s, which he claims he can be in, but we've never seen it.
well, he plays on a course in Indiana that's a field. So there isn't. There's no sand. There's no water. There's no nothing. He's just wide open, and then he comes back. He's like, I played great. I shot a 99.
There's 3 trees.
There's 3 trees.
He hits all 3 of them. Those are the holes he got the bogeys on.
I mean, he has friends, which is kind of amazing, that go with him.
I want to go golfing with his friends.
Yeah. I mean, they all came to the outing. They looked fairly normal. I mean, not, you know.
Wow.
94 and 96 on the hardest course in Northwest Indiana last week. White Hawk Country Club.
Impressive.
Things that are not a surprise. That
County Club. That's right. He couldn't. No way they would let him in the country club. Yeah. County Club.
Oh, yeah. What a stunning name for a course in Indiana, the White Hawk County Club.
White Hawks. It's attached to a prison.
Sounds horrible. You guys want to go to White Hawk?
It sounds great. I want to go. All right. Let's be nice. Yeah.
One small hill.
Lake County Jail.
All right. A lot of great comments on this.
Did I tell you? Oh, I golfed down in Arkansas. And we were in the middle of nowhere. I was doing play-by-play for St. Edward's.
You were in Arkansas. Yeah. It was implied.
But it wasn't like Fayetteville. It was like we were literally in the middle of nowhere. And so we get on the course, and like the rates are 9 holes, like $8, 18 holes, $14. So I'm like, well, guess I'll go for the $14 18 here. This is sweet.
When you're less than $1 a hole, you're in trouble.
I mean, and so we get out there, and I think I get out there. It's me playing by myself. And I go through the 9, and like the 2 tee boxes, like here's the red tees, and here are the black tees. There's like a 5-foot difference between the 2. And so I play the 9 holes. I get around. I think it was a push cart. There was no cart, no driving, whatever. Doesn't matter. I get around through the 9, and I'm like, well, where's 10? And so I asked the dude, literally with the 1 tooth that was there, like, sir, where is hole 10? And he just looks at me in a way, if you've seen Deliverance, that only a guy like that could look at me. He just looks at me, 9 hole. And I was like, yeah, but I paid for 18. 9 hole. 9 hole. Oh, so if you pay for 18, you just do the same 9 twice.
Yeah, you can do that at 9-hole courses.
9 hole.
With 1 tooth.
All right, my guy, I got you. 9 hole. Here we go.
Let's do it again. Run it back.
9 hole. Save and sound back in good old Chicago.
I enjoyed that story more than your tennis stories.
9 hole.
It's a good way to end the show today. All right.
Do we got any diehards?
We do.
Diehards?
We have 3.
Any diehard?
My guy, well, first off, thank you to everybody who's become a diehard. Become a diehard and get a discount on all our merchandise. Become a diehard and get a discount on our draft party. Become a diehard and hang out in our Discord with all the diehard Bears fans.
You need the Bears 100.
And we're working on the Bears 100, and we're working on doing a Die Hard OT. We're not going to do it today because we have a very busy day for the crew. And to those who are, there is a Brags After Dark tonight with Woot, so check that out if you have the time and the means. But new diehards, Trevor. Dude drops back. He sees the field. His hair flows. Best flow you could ever ask for. This dude walks, and when he walks into a room with his friends, they're like, oh my God, this guy is just better looking than all of us. Also a great comedian. Don't box him in. Trevor, you're a diehard, and you are my guy. And then my guy, Ben. So many Bens of the world, but I'm thinking about the guy who couldn't miss in Game 6. When Ben is open, it's going down. Ben from 3. Ben in the lane. Ben, my guy, not Wallace, but Gordon. Way to come in here. Hyper focused. This Ben is, and he was focused, and he saw it, and he became it, and now he's a diehard.
Thought you were going betting in the Jets there for a second.
Yeah, and then our guy Paul.
Paul.
He contributes to a group like no other. Paul. You know, some people think of Peter, some people think of Mary, but I go Paul. When you look at the way that historic triumvirate came together, there is no Peter, there is no Mary, and there is no Carm, and there is no Hoge, and there is no Nick, and there is no Steven, and there is no Braggs. And everybody else was a diehard without Paul, who has now joined us in Diehard Land. Paul, thank you so much for becoming a diehard. We love you. Paul, Ben, and Trevor are better than Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Well, they are going to get access to the full Bears 100 out tomorrow morning. We've been up to 75. It goes all the way to 100, our top 100 prospects for the Bears. But not only that, our entire in-house database, all the information we're looking at during the draft, you can get access to it. That's to all diehards. You don't just get Bears content, you can get all of our diehard content for all of our teams, 20% off merch and events, including the draft party. Still tickets available Friday night, and we hope to see you there. It's going to be a really good time. We got Dalton and the Sheriffs afterwards. And
we had Scully on, a.k.a. Dalton, from Dalton and the Sheriffs on the show on Friday. He gave us the
He invited us on stage.
We are invited on stage. We will be on stage. Braggs will be on stage, too. Nick will be in Detroit, so he won't be. But Hoge, are you ready?
I'm in.
We're all good. We're all doing this.
Are we going to get Gary Fensick on stage?
Maybe we can.
Everybody.
We go Fensick. The F stands for fun. Let's go.
There you go. Gary Fensick will be there, courtesy of Collector's Cave as well. You can have a meet and greet with him. Basically, I mean, we got all the bases covered Friday night. We got Javon Dexter jerseys too, signed. The Miller Lite buckets as well.
I mean, it's
Again, thanks to
Friday
Collector's
night.
Cave for that. Circus Sports, Casa Azul. Come join us Friday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. One more super chat to end the show as well. Back to our guy at ESQ. $4.99 says it stands for Esquire, not Equanimous. Sadly, I'm a lawyer. I can always spy a great sneaker. Nick, give us the plug.
Well, Adam just gave the plug, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
There you go.
You guys are awesome.
New shoes on the show tomorrow, although new shoes on the show on Wednesday. I got some new kicks coming in.
Don't care. But tomorrow what I do care about is Ryan Poles and Ian Cunningham are having a press conference at noon, which means we're going to move our show around. 2 o'clock start tomorrow. Let's put it on your calendar.
2.
The pre-draft presser, always a fun time. But Ian Cunningham doing his media availability as well. Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham. Nick and I will be there to cover it. We'll gather up.
Assemble.
I'm going to, buddy.
Okay. Well,
Nick Carman and I will be there to cover it.
don't say that. This has been communicated in our Slack channel, and you've never once been like, I'm going to.
I'm going to.
Okay.
Tomorrow's picture day, too, so.
It's picture day.
Picture
Okay.
day.
I want to take a picture.
Dress up.
That's why you're going.
Pretty much.
You want the professional headshot.
I want the
That's
yes.
what you're going for.
I look forward to
Okay.
that.
I want to see everybody. I want to say hi to Brad Biggs and Weeds and Potash and Johns and Courtney and all my friends.
All of those but one person will say hi back to you.
None of them really like me, but they're nice to me nonetheless. God bless.
2:00 show tomorrow. We'll have you covered. Of course, you got Bears After Dark tonight as well. Rick Braggs Jr. and Corey Wooten. It's a big week. We're inching closer and closer to the draft. Cannot wait. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.